Welcome to Beauty Tech Live. I'm Una Phillips, Editor-in-Chief of BW Confidential, which is co-organising Beauty Tech Live in association with leading travel retail media, the Moodie Davitt Report.
Thank you, Una. Well, my name is Martin Moodie. I'm the founder and chairman of the Moodie Davitt Report, and it's an honour and a pleasure to be working with such a great media title as BW Confidential and with our technical partners, Filter Tsinghua.
Digital acceleration has been the main response to COVID-19 in beauty, as in many other industries. Tech has enabled brands and retailers to get closer to consumers when real-life contact has been limited, and importantly, to continue to sell products and do business. New digital habits have quickly taken hold and are transforming the market. This is the reason we created Beauty Tech Live. We saw a need to bring together the worlds of beauty and tech. And the best way to do so was to create a virtual event where companies could showcase their products, their services, their solutions, and where industry players could share their insights and their knowledge. Here in the Knowledge Hub, we're hosting 16 conferences and panel discussions with 35 industry executives covering a diverse range of subjects, from e-commerce and live streaming to building online communities and to the latest digital tech trends. Please do tune in to as many as you can and feel free to ask our speakers any questions you feel you want the answers to make these sessions as interactive as possible.
Now, as well as the impressive lineup of speakers in the Knowledge Hub, Beauty Tech Live is also hosting a top-class exhibition space, and we urge you to visit the beautifully designed interactive stands of our 30 exhibitors in the exhibition hub to find out about the latest beauty tech products and services in the area of retail, fragrance tech, AI, AR, and much more besides. Don't miss also the exhibitor webinars in the engagement lounge for a more in-depth look at some of the solutions being presented and for insight into some of the key digital trends hitting the beauty market.
So it's set to be a busy week. Before kicking off the Knowledge Hub session, we would like to thank our partners. A big thank you to our Platinum event sponsor, Luxasia, and to our Knowledge Hub sponsor, iClick, and to all our exhibiting partners whose vision and support have been instrumental in helping us create this unique event. Thank you also to our speakers for their time and for sharing their knowledge, and special thanks also to our mainstream media partner, Marie Claire, and to our industry association partners, CW, the Fragrance Foundation, Cosmetic Valley, and Korean Beauty Association, IBETA.
And a big thank you also to the BW Confidential and the Moodie Davitt Report teams who have worked so very hard on this new event, and also to our creative virtual stand and experience partner, Filter Tsinghua.
So let's get to the first session. I am very pleased to open Beauty Tech Live with a conversation with an executive from one of the biggest companies in tech today and from one of the markets that is leading tech trends globally. The company is Alibaba, and the market, of course, is China. So I'm delighted to welcome our first guest, Jun Dong, Managing Director of Tmall Global Beauty at the Alibaba Group. Tmall Global is Alibaba's cross-border platform, which has seen incredibly strong growth, especially in beauty, since COVID hit, as more beauty brands look to get onto the platform to reach the Chinese consumer who is not traveling. I'm delighted to welcome Jun Dong, Managing Director of Tmall Global Beauty, part of the Alibaba Group, where she is responsible for strategy development, digital marketing, CRM, and merchandising. Jun has given a new face to Tmall Global Beauty and has also overseen the strong demand from beauty brands looking to get onto the platform since COVID hit in a bid to reach the Chinese consumer who is no longer traveling. Jun, thank you for being with us at Beauty Tech Live.
Hello, everybody. Yes, it's really good to get to connect to everyone here.
We're glad you could be with us. So today we're going to talk about how beauty brands can use Tmall Global to better build their business in China. And we're also going to discuss some of the consumer trends that you're seeing in the Chinese market at the moment. Jun, I wanted to start by asking you about some of the recent initiatives you have brought in, because I know you've taken some measures to try and make it easier for beauty brands to get on board Tmall Global. Would you be able to tell me a little bit about those initiatives that you have brought in and how they have benefited brands?
Certainly, we are constantly improving and evolving our business model to make it easier for brands to reach their target Chinese consumers. To help facilitate rapid brand activation, Tmall Global shifted from an invitation-based model to an open platform back in 2019. Authorized trademark owners can launch their brands in China on the platform in 3 ways. The first, Tmall Global platform. It is a brand flagship store by which brands can open their online store to sell their products directly to Chinese consumers. Second, Tmall Direct Import. It's an agreement in which Tmall Global becomes a distributor or buyer. This model is ideal for selling select SKUs that are already popular with Chinese consumers. The third one is Tmall Overseas Fulfillment. Products are listed on a self-operated store by Tmall Global. It is a consignment model that allows brands and suppliers to benefit from the company's global warehouse network in the US, Europe, and Asia. It is the most efficient and cost-effective way for brands to test the China market for sales potential. So once on the platform, brands can personalize their flagship stores to include more interactive features. Brands like Urban Decay customize their storefronts utilizing Tmall's built-in capabilities, including virtual try-on, which has proven to increase consumers' time spent on product pages, drag-down store lofts that enable brands to highlight ongoing campaigns, and guided selling tools often disguised as games. The storefront also highlights the brand's loyalty offerings and provides personalized product selections based on consumers' previous buying and browsing habits.
Okay, you mentioned there are some interesting features, for example, gaming and virtual try-on. Just in terms of some of the digital trends that we're seeing, I know that live streaming is a very big trend in China. How would you say brands can better use live streaming to build their business, to reach consumers, to do more sales in China through Tmall Global? And also, if you could give us an indication there of how much sales are done through live streaming on Tmall Global when it comes to beauty today.
Live streaming drove more than 50 billion in sales for brands on Alibaba's platforms over the last year. It is an incredible tool to engage consumers. Originating in China, live streaming commerce is one of the most popular forms of social commerce and consumer-facing digital innovations. It has caught the attention of global brands and retailers in recent months.
It's Beauty 完美新物种
It's Beauty 完美新物种
尽在天猫国际
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 It's Beauty 完美新物种
尽在天猫国际
尽在天猫国际 It's Beauty 完美新物种
It's Beauty 完美新物种尽在天猫国际
So for beauty brands, live streaming has become not only a vital sales channel, but more importantly, a vehicle for product education and launches. To maximize ongoing performance of their own live streams, beauty brands use tactics such as giveaways with purchases, providing exclusive deals for customers that pre-order, and incentivizing audience to join and purchase early in the live stream with special deals. Product demos and ability to answer consumers' questions are key to developing an audience.
Okay, and what other, I mean, live streaming is obviously very important there. What other digital tools do you think that Western brands need to be aware of? Are there any emerging technologies that you think that they should be aware of and should be keeping a closer eye on to try and build their business in China with Chinese consumers?
Sure. The pandemic has had a lasting impact on the relationship between consumers and brands across the globe, most notably in China, It accelerated existing innovation in digital tools and technologies to engage consumers who continue to look for unique, interactive experiences while shopping online. It is undeniable that we've seen a massive shift to online transactions globally. In China, they are already starting to dominate the market. eMarketer predicts that 52% of China's overall retail sales are expected to come from e-commerce transactions this year, outstripping brick and mortar for the first time. But a digital strategy needs to run through a business. It is about an entire digitalization of retail, not just the online experience or transactions, what we call new retail. Working in coordination with an existing live stream strategy, brands are now utilizing KOLs in conjunction with their celebrity ambassadors to drive even larger audience and, in some cases, create viral social moments. Beauty KOL Austin Lee, or the Lipstick King, tries on 300 lipsticks a day while live streaming. He once sold 15,000 lipsticks within a 15-minute stream. The lipsticks he features are often sold out across different e-commerce platforms not long after one of his broadcasts. Under the same theme, smaller, niche brands, which have been launched by international superstars such as Rihanna and Kim Kardashian, have seen significant interest in China following their launch. The launch of indie brands which cater to a particular niche has become a trend which will become a mainstay of fashion and beauty in 2021.
It's so impressive, the figures from Austin Lee, with the number of lipsticks, for example, that he can sell. Do you think that big brands, they need to focus on those big KOLs, those big influencers, or is there also a trend for going towards smaller influencers as well, especially for example, smaller brands that may not be able to collaborate with some of the big KOLs?
Right. I think it should be a combination of using both the top KOLs like Austin Lee and the like, and also what we call the smaller live streamers. Right now, I think majority of the sales is really very much skewed to the top KOLs, whereby the other smaller KOLs are developing, their relevancy and popularities among the Gen Z audience as well. So we predict, moving forward in the coming 1 to 2 years, it will be a much more healthier balance between the top and the smaller KOLs in live streaming for sure.
Okay, and so that will make it easier for perhaps some of the smaller brands also to get part of that business, I would imagine.
Definitely, yes, yeah. I
Okay.
believe so.
Okay, I wanted to go on and ask you a little bit about shopping festivals, because obviously those are very strong moments throughout the year in China, and it seems that since COVID hit, the number of shopping festivals and their frequency has increased quite a bit. What would you advise that beauty brands need to do, or how can they better prepare for those shopping festivals in China?
Well, shopping festivals have formed a key part of China's consumer psyche for more than a decade. 2020's 618 Mid-Year Shopping Festival and the Double 11 Global Shopping Festival saw brands pull out at the stops in an attempt to reignite consumer spending. They have been the biggest sales event since the outbreak of COVID-19 and showed the clear strength of China's online retail consumption, leading to a record-breaking year. So while there are plenty of opportunities for brands to reap the benefits of shopping festivals, those rewards will only come from significant planning and by investing the time to really understand your target consumer. Shopping festivals are an incredibly competitive time for brands. So it is important that the brands have a clear strategy they are trying to execute when entering into one. For many consumers in China, while value play a role in purchasing decisions, there are also other factors to consider for sure, such as personalization and exclusivity around the product. Brands will often launch limited edition products or packages of products around shopping festivals, which also resonate with consumers very well. In 2020, L'Oreal launched limited edition products from their brands 3CE and Shuimura, which helped contribute to the brand's success.
Okay, so you think that perhaps the shopping festivals are becoming less about promotions, less about discounts, and more about offerings, perhaps something special, limited editions, or special events for brands?
Yes, I think promotion is for sure, still one of the key driving factors, because that's how, those shopping festivals came into being, and this is what consumers have been expecting. But, as years goes by, consumers were also asking for more. So we've seen more and more brands, not using the shopping festival as a sales period for the brand, but also a chance to really introduce their new product innovations and limited editions alike to really drive news for the brand besides promotion.
Okay, and do you think just because there's so many, and I think also in China there were new festivals that perhaps emerged last year to try and promote consumption as well, do you think it's very difficult though for brands, because it seems increasingly that they're jumping from one festival to the next? I mean, that's a lot of preparation. You mentioned there it's very important for the brands to prepare these festivals. Is there perhaps a risk of being so focused on these festivals that the execution of the business in non-festival moments suffers somewhat?
I think it will be a balance between the key consumption period and the normal days, and each brand have their own way to look at it, right? So normally throughout the year, for beauty specifically, Double 11, 618, and 3/8, which is March 8th, are the three major shopping festivals that we promote. And on top of that, brands plan their calendar accordingly, between the shopping festival promotions versus their brand building activities and their new product launches. And some of the brands even combining, like I explained before, the introduction of their new initiatives and new products together in the shopping festival. I think now we are seeing really a variety of patterns and calendars each brand developed that's tailoring for their own needs. Well, I don't think they will miss the three major shopping festivals for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. It seems that one of the criticisms of beauty brands going into China is that they don't understand the digital ecosystem in China. How would you advise brands to better understand that ecosystem that exists there, which is very different from Western markets? What would you advise those beauty brands to do there?
To better understand the Chinese market and the country's digital ecosystem, brands need to invest the time in doing their research. Marketing and consumer behaviors vary greatly between Chinese and Western markets. So don't assume that a successful strategy in the West will apply to China. This is one of the main stumbling blocks that companies come across applying marketing strategies that work in Europe or the US to China. Sometimes they simply do not translate.
Yes, and there's so many different also digital facets that they need to take into account as well. I mean, are there any specific things that you think they should be watchful of?
Yeah, so I think firstly, finding a partner to help develop a greater understanding of Chinese culture and consumption habits will make a major difference and can save brands a significant amount of time and money when entering the market. China can seem a distant and daunting market for the Western business at the start, but I guess brands should be happy to know that consumer confidence and demand is there, and this translates into enormous growth potential for international brands. There really is no such thing as being too small to export to China. A product that may seem niche in a brand's home territory can quickly become a significant and realizable opportunity, when it aligns with consumer demand in China. So I guess the biggest watch out is really not to simply put, whatever the product and the launch strategies that's originally the same from the foreign market and just assuming it's going to really fit for China. I think finding a partner that understands the Chinese market and consumer and develop a strategy really tailored to the China market, especially to the e-commerce and live stream shopping environment, is becoming extremely important nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Okay. China, though, is becoming more competitive, obviously. It's a big growth market, especially at the moment. It's becoming more complex and more expensive. Do you think that the brands that are going to succeed there, though, are going to be those brands that have the big budgets to spend there and to stand out? Because as it becomes increasingly attractive, there are more and more brands in the market as well, and it's becoming more expensive to stand out. How do you see that, the need for a big budget to succeed in China?
Certainly. Larger budgets and resources are by no means necessary. Brands of any size can find success through Alibaba's ecosystem. An example we have back in 2020 is the British men's grooming business, Hawkins and Brimble, reported that it is set to make over 2 million during its first 12 months on the platform. The company was established back in 2016 and with a workforce of just 6 people. The company also reported that it has to charter 2 freight planes to transport its products to China ahead of 2020's Double 11 Global Shopping Festival after seeing such a big demand. So for sure, I think there is a various support system in the ecosystem, whether the brand is big or small, coming into play.
Okay, so the market is open for niche players or for those smaller players then?
Yes, and especially nowadays, with a lot of the major brands, international brands already have entered the China market and entered Tmall. Now our focus is really to make it easy and bring a lot of the threshold of participation to our shopping festivals and all the marketing mechanisms lower so that, we can welcome more smaller and niche brands to come and, serve the Chinese consumers with us.
Okay, and how can you help them? What is Tmall Global doing to help them? Because obviously, some of those smaller brands do not have the infrastructure behind them to go into a market like China. Nonetheless, it can be very difficult. What do you offer those brands? How can Tmall Global make it easier for perhaps some of those smaller brands?
Yeah, so traditionally with those big top beauty players, right? We see, we call it a lot of the marketing activities are very costly, and then you do a lot of the paid media, and also the big IPs inside of Tao are designed to tailor for those brands that wants to have a lot of high media spending and cover a lot of customer base with high awareness to start with. But nowadays, we're developing more gradual seeding strategies for brands, through, like we talked earlier on, to the smaller KOLs and seeding it on Red, and also with the top KOLs like Austin and the like, we organize kind of the monthly product auditions, right, for the top KOLs and also the smaller KOL groups to get to understand and learn the new brands and more niche products to start with. And also in terms of the daily operation, we have a dedicated team to teach those smaller and niche brands, on the necessities to operate the store to start with, by baby steps. So there is a lot of the favor design policies and mechanisms once a smaller and niche brand gets into the platform these days.
Okay, so there's a lot more support basically for those smaller players that you're giving. Okay. I wanted to ask you about some of the retailers also, because I know that last year Sephora launched a flagship on Tmall Global. Australia's Mecca also launched a flagship store there. Can you say, given how difficult the retail situation, the brick and mortar retail situation is in other markets, especially in Western markets, can you see more retailers, more beauty retailers launching stores on Tmall Global? Do you see that as becoming a big trend there?
Yeah, for sure. So Sephora and Mecca both opened store with us on Tmall Global. Let me first tackle with from the brand side first. There are several reasons why brands consider selling on Tmall Global and why we'll continue to see brands join the platform. So firstly, the growth opportunities that China presents to international brands are enormous. Last year, it connected more than the total population of the UK to the internet. And this trend is expected to continue. So this means there is an ever-increasing pool of consumers that brands are able to reach. Second, the demand for international brands is incredibly strong. During last year's Double 11 Global Shopping Festival, we have a record of 26,000 brands from 84 countries and regions, offered more than 1.2 million new products from overseas to Chinese consumers. So brands can enjoy the business track record of successful penetration into the Chinese market. Dedicated teams help brands to expand into a market filled with potential and market products in a way not often seen domestically. Tmall Global's sophisticated delivery networks also help to keep things running smoothly, allowing brands to reach their customers in China from abroad using tried and tested infrastructure. As a platform, Tmall Global also offers retailers such as Sephora and Mecca a wide range of options and marketing levers to help reach the world's largest e-commerce sector. So as we continue to work with beauty brands, we'll continue to explore ways to help beauty brands reach potential consumers and deepen the relationship with existing ones, including those beauty retailers.
Okay. And I mean, how do you see the difference in the consumer who is shopping on Tmall Global and the consumer who is shopping on Tmall? Is there a difference there in what the type of consumer who's shopping on those two different platforms, or can you explain a little bit the main difference there?
Sure. So Tmall Global and Tmall, we're both on the Tmall app. So of course we share the same big consumer pool, but as you know, right now, the consumer habits are more and more becoming, dimensionalized and more tribal. So what we see from the latest data is Tmall Global's consumers are younger. So on average, about 4.5 years younger than the Tmall domestic market. And also, originated from the import and export kind of mindset. The consumers are more willing to try new things and, they are pursuing a more international lifestyle. So all in all, I think we conclude the primary consumer group or the inspiration target for Tmall Global are the Generation Z, which are also taking the largest percentage of our consumer group right now for Tmall Global. So we think it is also more suitable in that case, for the international brands. When you start in China, the first inspiration target group that brands should target on.
Okay, that's interesting. And have you seen a change in consumer spend in Tmall Global since COVID hit? I mean, obviously China recovered very quickly from the COVID situation. How have you seen spend evolve perhaps since then, and also, since the beginning of this year? Could you give us an outline of that, of consumer spending habits there on the platform?
Okay. Since COVID-19, the trend of self-care and wellness has been on the rise in beauty. 2020's Double 11 Global Shopping Festival saw sunscreen and anti-aging serums become the third highest selling subcategory in cosmetics, with a 320% rise in sales during the event compared to the previous year. As of December 2020, the number of brands and merchants on Tmall Global platform grew over 60% year-on-year. So COVID-19 has driven more sales online and on average a 20% higher on consumers' basket size.
Okay, a 20% rise in basket size, and has that has continued? And do you see that continuing, that sort of increase in spend there?
Yes, so this is the continuous trend we've seen post-COVID-19. We've seen a continuous increasing of the basket size. The number I'm quoting is the average number from the past 10 months.
Okay. And do you see, is it a premiumization trend there, or is it that consumers are buying more products? They're buying higher price products, or they're just looking for more types of beauty items?
Yeah, I would say it's a combination. So if you look at the data for now, I think it's probably more item of purchase for now, but the premiumization trend will settle in and take on over a longer period of time. We do see the more premium priced brands are doing quite well and start to taking off even further post COVID-19. This is also, the overall trend we're seeing in beauty and cosmetics. Okay, so it's a strong trend then for higher priced products. Yes. Even despite the economic situation, which as well is that the consumers are still looking to spend. Yeah, I think as we see, China is really big, so there's different. We're also talking about, there is a huge trend of, going to lower tier cities. The brand offering are quite different there. But if you talk about, the top tier cities and the Generation Z group, for sure, the overall trend is going towards premiumization. Okay, you mentioned there lower tier cities. I wanted to ask you also about Tmall Global's penetration in lower tier cities. Are you seeing a lot of consumers from those cities on Tmall Global looking for beauty products? Right. So lower tier areas are an important business strategy and a strategic direction for Alibaba, because China's less developed markets have a lot of potential for growth when you consider their population, geography, and shopping habits. By delivering better quality goods at affordable prices, consumers in lower tier area have a lot of potential to make frequent purchases. So across all Alibaba platforms, there was a predicted 100 million new users participating in this 2020's Double 11 that come from lower tier cities areas, where China's biggest consumption growth is happening. In fiscal 2019, more than 70% of Alibaba's 100 million newly acquired annual active users were based there. The off-price or outlet strategies that many international brands use in the West may be an attractive way to engage lower tier markets in China. The off-season bargains from brands or products with more basic style at competitive prices are well suited for these markets as well. Okay, so those consumers are obviously interested in lower priced products then. Do you have to tailor your promotional activities and your assortment that you have on Tmall Global differently to reach that consumer? Yes, for sure. So it's definitely a complete different groups that are having a different appetite to product at a complete different pricing. So that's why we see the off-price or outlet strategies, that many international brands use in the West can be a very attractive way to engage them. And also the off-season bargains or products with more basic styles at competitive prices at good offers and designed to suit it for this market and those consumers. Okay. I want to ask you just about some of the consumer trends you mentioned there. Obviously, serums, that type of product did very well there since COVID hit. We've been hearing a lot about fragrance, which is a small category in China, but which is seeing very strong growth.
Can you tell us what you're seeing in the fragrance category, how you see the growth of that, how you see it evolving, and perhaps also about how fragrance brands can better capitalize on the potential growth of that category in China?
Okay, the market will continue to evolve as small brands of all sizes open themselves up to the China opportunity. While large players currently dominate the market, there is a clear demand for beauty and fragrance post-COVID. Due to its more discreet and less social media friendly nature, fragrance has been slower to gain traction. But in the same way that the Chinese have flexed their power as dominant customers in nearly every luxury segment, from accessories, apparel, and jewelry, the tide is turning for fragrance too. As a category, its price point is accessible enough for the rapidly expanding middle class to indulge in. And for companies without the resources of a large luxury conglomerate behind them, the world of perfumes in China is young enough to still offer a relatively open playing field. Brands should also consider the logistic difficulties that can arise from exporting fragrance into China. Perfume suppliers are often refused by air carriers, as their fragrances may contain flammable substances, such as alcohol. Although maritime shipping has been the most common option, smaller brands have found it hard to meet the minimum volume requirements to ship by sea. Alibaba Group's cross-border e-commerce platform, Tmall Global, and logistic unit, Cainiao Network, recently launched its first perfume route, a dedicated flight for transporting fragrances between Europe and China daily.
How has that been received? Is that something that the brands have been obviously very, very happy about, I would imagine? Is that also resulting in growth for you then, especially among those niche fragrances because of that perfume route that you have launched?
Yes, for sure. So actually this is designed, in response to the high sales demand that we've seen from quite several of the designer or niche fragrances, from Europe. That is why we, together with Cainiao, developed this perfume route with a dedicated flight to support the demand.
Okay. And do you see that fragrance mostly being something that is of demand among the younger consumers then?
Yeah, so of course, we always say, for China, a lot of the, especially in beauty and also the relatively premium brand, the design inspiration target is always a Generation Z. So they are the ones who are maybe not the most affluent group in the society now, but they are definitely the group that are more willing to spend. And they are very, very open to try, new products, new brands, and even new developed categories. So yes, for sure.
And can you see that becoming a very big category, fragrance then?
Yeah, for right now, it's still relatively much smaller compared to, the other major beauty categories. But for sure, we've seen a very rapid growth rate, one of the fastest growing category among beauty in the past 12 months.
Okay. Are there any other key trends there among consumers that you're seeing that perhaps our audience should be aware of in terms of what's going on in China today?
Sure. Beauty is a form of wellness and self-care that has become a priority of post-lockdown consumers. In many ways, people have continued to be at-home consumers post-COVID. Brands that have been able to position their products to aid consumers in their new reality, for example, by combating mask acne, are finding the resonance. Lipstick and eye makeup and makeup based with skincare efficacy continue to be growth categories. At the other hand, cosmetics as a whole took a hit during lockdown, and as mandated mask wearing became the reality. The skincare category as a whole, including face masks, toners, and moisturizers, grew during the lockdown. Even before COVID, serums were already the key growth categories in skincare. They skyrocketed during the lockdown, with sales from the brands we track in our beauty digital index up 88% in the first quarter compared to the same period last year. Lipstick and beauty are not exclusive to women. The past few years have seen a significant rise in the male beauty space as well, with easy to access products and KOLs helping to drive the trend. Austin Lee, known as the Lipstick King, is evidence of the major growth in this sector, having recently been named in Time Magazine's 100 Next Most Influential People 2021. And he's a personal influencing to for a lot of the men starting to use basic skincare and basic base makeup as well.
So do you see the men's market, because we're hearing quite a lot about that, you know, the men's market, and perhaps it's a way of getting into China because it is less saturated also for brands. But in the past, we've heard about how the growth of the men's market was going to happen. It hasn't emerged yet in a lot of markets. Can you see it becoming a big category in China?
I wouldn't say it's big. It's still relatively much smaller compared to even the small categories in women's beauty. But for sure, you know, from the data we've seen in the past 18 months, men's skincare to start with probably one of the top 3 growing categories in the entire beauty. So for sure, this is a category with a very great prospect, and also many more players are coming in to play. I would say yes, continue to bring in those male skincare brands and continue investing them. You know, we couldn't say, you know, whether there's going to be a magic switch moment that, you know, this is a year for men's beauty, but you can definitely enjoy the growth along together with the category. Okay.
June, I just have one last question for you as well, because we have seen a lot about the growth of local Chinese brands and that there is more demand for these brands. Do you see that that could pose a potential risk for some of the Western brands in the Chinese market, some of those international players, that they will perhaps see their share gradually eroded by the rise of local Chinese brands?
That's a great question, Anna. There is an increased demand for local Chinese brands thanks to their ability to address 3 areas: value for money, fast-built social awareness, and after-sales services. However, there will always be a strong demand for international brands among Chinese consumers, which are often highly coveted due to their product quality, provenance, and great brand DNA. The Double 11 Global Shopping Festivals in 2020 is a great example of this demand for international brands. This year, over 26,000 brands from 84 countries took part in Double 11, offering 1.2 million new products from overseas to Chinese consumers. With a strong return in spending, Chinese consumers have become even more important to international companies as a source of growth. Local demand will always serve as a competition to international businesses, and it is up to the big players to continue looking for ways to innovate to combat this.
Because the local brands, they have an advantage as well in that they perhaps better understand the Chinese consumer, obviously, and also they have a good understanding of the digital ecosystem as well,
right.
Which is an advantage, I would imagine, over some of the Western brands. How do you see that then, their sort of digital savviness over Western international brands?
Yeah, for sure. They have this natural advantage because they are China native company and brand. You know, they know very well the social commerce environment here. So they know how to really, really fast build social awareness for brand from 0 to 1. As I mentioned, I do believe there's a lot of advantages still the international brand have, because consumer belief in the provenance, especially in beauty categories, right? Consumer love, you know, products, you know, from Europe, US, Korea, and Japan. because this country stand as center of excellence for certain beauty categories. So I do believe from a brand standpoint, there is a great right to win. And also, a lot of the international brands enter this market at premium pricing. I do believe, the international brands need to localize their marketing strategy and execution and the on-the-ground operation, so they can have a local team that can help them translate the brand DNA and strategies in a very local, relevant way.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jundong. It was great to hear your insights on the Chinese market. We appreciate you being here at Beauty Tech Live with us. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thanks very much, Anna.
So we're going to take a short break, but we will be back at 11 a.m. CET to hear from Lubomira Roche, the Chief Digital Officer of L'Oreal, who will discuss e-commerce with us. Don't forget to check out our exhibition hub to see the latest innovations on show from our beauty tech exhibitors. And we'll see you at 11.